Hello everyone, welcome back to my video series here where we create Xbox 360 game using Unity 5.4.1, and today we'll be adding a few enemies to our scene. So I managed to add these two, and I add one up here. So what we're going to do, we're just going to duplicate these enemies and add them across. You can find them in the Sci-Fi Space Soldier Complete, and they're under prefab and under enemies, and you have the enemy soldier. So there you can actually drag the soldier from there, put him there, make sure that it's Y set to 0, and being that he's pointing opposite way, you can rotate him 180 degrees so that his cone area, this is his field of view, can actually see you when you're coming. The enemy itself, there are certain parameters that you can actually change under the enemy AI script. So you have their angle of looking, which is 77%. That's this cone area that you're seeing. You have the awareness, so these are normally in seconds. So so these are distance. So you have the awareness, aiming, and attack distance, and you have the fire rate, what weapon they're using. And if you continue going down, you have more settings down here. But you can play around with the settings, and they basically, of the operation for the enemy itself. So the part that were in seconds that I was mistakenly was, alright, so you have their health, your chasing speed, and if you continue down, you have the player timer. So if you hide for 5 seconds somewhere, then they'll forget you and go back to where they were. This also works when you're patrolling. We'll be doing waypoint in our next video, where after a certain amount of time they'll abandon chasing you and go back to their patrol route. And waypoint, this is where we actually place a waypoint, and we'll cover it in the next lesson. Yeah. So some of these are distant and some are time. You have body destroy timer. So this is after you kill an enemy, how long does the body stay in the scene before it disappears? When you have a lot of enemies, you're going to want to reduce this, because if you have too much, being that the console have limited amount of memory, the game may crash or exit if you have too much things on the scene. So you may end up to reduce this if you have a lot of enemies, but being that we're just working with a few, we can leave this at 50. What I also did was our key cards. I kind of spread them out throughout the level. So we're actually going to play through this and see how it works on the console itself. As for enemies here, we can duplicate a few more and have them throughout. I did run into an issue where not all of them were spawning in the stage. I don't know if it's a memory thing, but I will figure that out. And if you're experiencing the same thing, it could be just myself experiencing it. You may not. but I'll look into it as to why I'm experiencing that. But to make sure that's something I'm forgetting, I am going to go into navigation and I'm going to rebake this scene just in case that they were falling through whenever time the scene starts. I have the navigation all baked in. Alright, so we're just gonna move over to our console and we're just gonna do a playthrough until we collect all the keys. There's one slight difference that I make in the UI, which we will go over when I'm expanding on it, and is the HUD. Let's see, normally we have the keys here, so I remove the keys and actually place them in an inventory screen where we'll place other items. So you'll see the screen when we're playing, and how I did that screen, it's just the same method as how I created the main menu screen and the pause screen. Same exact thing. The only difference is that I use a different overlay instead of using the pause or the main menu overlay. But yeah, let's move over to our Xbox and we'll play through and experience the game. So here in our console, and we're just gonna be copying over the file to our project folder. Let me remove the old file. Going over, just like that. Copy over our project, and let's paste it in. And let's get this started. So we'll basically be started from the main menu, then we'll go into new game, and we start a new game, and then we'll go through the playthrough and see how it looks, if all the enemies spawn or not, and we'll look at the inventory while we're going through and collect all the keys, and you will see the key item will actually show up in the inventory screen. We'll cover that when we're creating items like upgradable items. We'll go over that screen once again in case you have an issue. If you do have issue creating it and want me to do a dedicated video on auto redo that, I will do it. But if you go back to our previous videos and on how we created a pause screen and the main menu, it's the same method. The only difference is that I use a different overlay or background, so to speak. Alright, let's go in our game. Our splash screen. And here we are. Alright, so we're gonna start a new game. Alright, so here we have our new game started. So the inventory screen. There are the key appears, working fine. So our enemies didn't load. I would have to look into that. Alright, so we managed to collect all the keys. I'm gonna double check as to why the enemies are not spawning. And I'll document it as to why. As I said, that this may be something I'm experiencing. I'm probably not yourself. Alright, so next story game. Alright, so we're gonna take a second run through. I made some adjustments to the settings inside of Unity. What I actually did, I removed the skybox. That's the only thing that I actually did different. I had a special skybox that I put on. So it seems as if it was consuming too much memory. So let's see if that makes a difference. Alright, so let's see. And yes, that did fix it. Hey, twitching. Alright, so the enemies that we put in, those work. We managed to get all 3 keys. me. So my game take a while to load because I decided to run it from the external instead of copying it over. So one of the reasons why the enemies weren't showing up because I did change the skybox because I was experimenting to get an out of space um, view. So when you're looking down on the map or when you're playing the game, instead of seeing a black outline, you'll see like you're in deep space. But apparently the material that I choose was consuming too much memory. So because of that, the enemies in the stage didn't spawn or anything like that. And that is one of the things that we have to be careful about in putting too much assets onto our levels because it will cause certain things not to be spawned. And based on how everything is loaded, when a game is loaded, so you have the scene and everything loaded first, and then the assets, and then whatever is on the level. So once it runs out of memory, it runs out, and whatever doesn't load just doesn't end up loading. So that's one thing we have to be careful about as we continue to go along. We can't put too much things on the scene. Like doing a game for a PC is different because you can always have a lot of memory. Console, you're working with limited amounts, so we have to be careful how big our scene is and what we put on the scene and so forth. But in our next lesson, we'll go through waypoints. So we'll have the enemies patrol a particular route, and you will to see that, and we'll do a few programming script and how to add the waypoint for them to follow, and how they respond and all that. But yeah, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and leave your comments or any questions you have. I'll answer them. So see you in the next one.